Okay, so this is quick tutorial on painting out certain details, but also fixing up textures if you need to. So I have an object right here that's loaded in. Right now the texture is not applied. So to import the texture, I'm gonna go up here in one of these top menus. I have a bunch of shortcuts, which will make your life easier, but I'll go through where everything actually are. So in the top menu here is the texture tab. I go over here and click import. Then you're going to try to find your texture, which is here. I'm going to import that, and it's not going to load immediately. So what you're going to have to do is click on the texture that gets loaded here, right? So now it's loaded in. And the weird thing for the ZBrush is that all textures are always
Are
flipped.
inverted.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always flipped vertically, so you always want to flip the once you're loaded in.
I think it's over here.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to load the texture in on here, so we're going to go down to this menu here, texture map. I'm going to click on this, and I'll load this texture in. And so this is what our texture looks like. If it looks darker than it is, it's because we have matte cat gray on. If you want to change this so it's more realistic, just change to any of the white ones. I go for the skin shade 4. It makes it a little bit brighter so we can see, like, okay, so that's what the color is. So we want to erase this letter, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple of ways to do this. Pretty much we have to make our own texture from this point on, right? So assuming you did all the decimation process before, this is the last step, okay? When you're fixing the texture. So we have a texture loaded in, right? What we want to do is that we're going to go to Poly Paint, another tab here. Yeah, and we're going to hit Poly Paint from texture. Okay, and we want to make sure it gives a little pop-up that we need to have this on. And at the same time, let's turn this off. Right, so only A and MRGB is toggled on, and we're gonna hit Poly Paint from texture. Once we do that, you'll notice it slightly changes, right? Slightly changed a little bit. And if we go up here or to the texture map, and we actually turn it off. Oh yeah, okay, it is off right now. As you can see, turning your texture on is highlighted on. If I want to turn it off, then it'll be gray. So toggling between these two, you'll see like there's a little bit of difference, right? With the texture, it's a little higher quality, right? But without the texture, it's a little bit more blurry, right? That's okay, because in this case, we're gonna erase this, okay? So when the texture is off, and what you see here is actually on the model is actually what's called polypaint. Polypaint is basically color information that's embedded into the model. So it's not a separate file. It's like part of it altogether, okay? Once it's like that, there's a couple of ways we can go about this. We can either go up here in the subtool, make sure this paintbrush icon is on, okay? And then we're going to go down to polypaint, make sure colorize is also on, okay? Then we're going to, right here's a little color palette. We can actually color pick what kind of colors we want. So I think what we can do here, yeah, if we click and drag from here inside the color picker and onto any part of the model, you'll see my cursor turns into a different one. It says pick. It means that it's going to pick that color wherever it's nearby. So I'm going to pick this one. You'll see it's changed here. Now, when I click over it, I'm going to be starting to paint over it like this.
But it's turning white.
Yeah, it is white because I have a texture file loaded here. So you want to make sure you turn that off. So I'm going to do that again. And now it's gray. See that?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can and remember, you don't want to use the same color all the way, because you see how you notice that you can start to tell that it's like say if I go into the dark area, you can tell that I'm painting this right now. I want to make sure that I'm grabbing in different areas every so often, so it doesn't look as artificial.
And okay.
Okay, so now that's erased. See that?
Yes.
Right. So okay, so there is that way. That way is takes some takes a very short amount of time, very easy. But sometimes people can tell that like, oh, you just painted over it. Okay. So if that's not what the client wants, and they're like, oh, could you do it? Do some Photoshop manipulation. We can do that here in ZBrush. So I'll show you the other way. Okay, that was one way. And actually, to continue from here, after it's all painted out, you want to go back to on the side here. I'm going to texture map, and where it says create, we're going to click new from polypaint. What this means is that it's going to create a texture, and then the new texture map based on what we painted. So we're going to click new from polypaint. Now you see it's changed, and this is changed now. It's all black. It's because any area that doesn't have paint on it has now turned black, right? I didn't paint this area, and this didn't have any color in the first place. That's why it's black. That's okay. It's not important to the client. Okay. So now that we have a new texture map here, we're gonna load it in. Yes. We're gonna load it in, so we're gonna have to find it. Yes. We should find it somewhere here. Interesting. If you can't find it and it's not visible, then we will have to export it from here. Okay. So we're going to go to texture and try and turn on and find this texture. It's strange. Okay, there you go. So what I did was I couldn't find the texture in here in this menu. So what I went to this texture map menu drop down here and click clone texture. What that means is that it's just going to duplicate that texture so you can see it. Yeah, so you can see that's the new texture. Right, this is the texture we have. And you want to make sure that before you export this out, because we're going to export this as a separate PNG file, and we're going to start using that with the model. Right, you want to flip V again, right? Because again, like I said, the ZBrush flips a vertex for some reason. So once you do that, you want to go to texture and then go hit export. Okay, and it's going to ask you where to save it. In this case, and the file format, I'm going to click PNG. This is our old texture. I'm going to click on this and maybe change it a little bit. In your case, you could just overwrite it. Like if there's already.
Can you just if this is done, then can you just like overwrite mine from your computer?
Yeah. So yeah, I can overwrite it as long as you the original copy of this is somewhere else. Like let's say the original is on TeamShare anyway. You can just overwrite this and it will update in the model. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to save this or replace it. Yes.
I mean, can you replace mine one? It will save time basically. If this is
sure. Well, what I'll do is I'll send you the texture file over the Slack. Okay, and you just upload it to the TeamShare. Okay. Because I just have trouble accessing the TeamShare right now.
Okay. So once I upload it to TeamShare and in my file, then exploded view will automatically get this, right?
Yeah, exploded view will automatically update. So actually, did you look at the earlier message that I sent you about how you can upload different texture files to Sketchfab?
Wait, when did you send? Oh yeah, the whole thing procedure, right?
Yes.
Yes, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well, I'll go over a little bit right now as well, so then I can let you know. Okay. So
I missed that. uh, once if I replace this texture,
Yeah.
then in our folder,
Yeah.
that is the main computer where I use uh, what software was it? Blender, right?
Yes, Blender.
Yeah. So in that directory, if I change it, replace it, then in our computer it will be showing this one, right? This texture.
Yeah. So in the Blender
Yeah.
file, it will update if it's already
Okay.
in.
Only
Yeah.
just like we need to make changes to FBX. I mean, one on Sketchfab.
Yeah. 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 But
Okay.
you said earlier that you were having trouble where the texture wasn't appearing on
Yes.
Sketchfab.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So do you remember the
Okay.
message I sent you after that?
Yeah. I know that you sent me a list of procedure, but I haven't got time to go through it.
Okay. Okay. So if you do that, you don't actually have to re-export the FBX.
Mm-hmm.
You can just upload the new texture files to Sketchfab.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Okay. But anyways, to continue, so that's one way, a very simple and quick way. It may not look the very best, but this right now is already good enough, right? So I'll go through the second way. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's still similar. Okay, so this step is after I created new from Polypaint and my texture map is off. What I
Mm-hmm.
can do here is go to Z plugin, and you want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure your view is angled where you can, where you're facing the area you want to fix or you want to blur out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then we're going to go to Z plugin, and there's a drop down menu here called Projection Master. And here's a button. We're going to click on this. It's going to bring this up. By default, this should be the kind of default settings. Yeah, this should be the default settings. That's okay. We're going to hit drop now. Okay. What this does, uh, what this does is that it kind of takes the view that you're in, takes like a snapshot, brings it outside of the 3D space, and now you're in 2D space. So when I try to rotate, I can't rotate, right? I can't rotate. This is it's locked into place, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But from here, we can actually access the kind of some of more of the painting tools. So if I scroll all the way up, back where the tools are, you see I can hover this. It's a single layer brush. This is the default brush, how we poly paint. We're going to click on this, and down here where it says 2.5D brushes, there's a clone brush, right? So what a clone brush does, it's quite similar to the Photoshop stamp tool. But basically, if I hold control and click on an area, let's say this area, right? I want to copy this area, and I let go and I start painting. It's going to actually copy that area that I clicked and paint where that is, okay? And before I start painting, I want to make sure that this is toggled off. So Z add is off and only these are on, okay? So if I want to take this color or this pattern and paint it over here over these two letters, I'm going to hold control, click here, and I'm going to paint over like this. You see that? So
Yes.
using a combination of holding control, click over here, maybe over there, and I paint over here. Maybe I hold control here and I paint here. I can get a more kind of like a natural uh, pattern and colorization of what I want to cover.
No, but uh, don't you think that there is gray part in the middle we are getting?
Sorry, this part?
Yes, grayish part.
Yeah, so like if that's already too dark, then I can grab here and start painting here, right? This is a lot more time consuming because it's more about playing with the different areas and trying to get it to look right. But you'll get more of like a accurate result, like taking the certain patterns. So in this one, it's already pretty simple, so it's not so bad. But if you have a more complicated object that has multiple patterns or kind of like very varying different colors, it might be easier to use this kind of method. Okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna just quickly go through like this. Right, so you can tell it's a little bit more time consuming, but it looks a little bit more or organic because it's grabbing all these kind of texture details.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Grab that. This. And if you get used to this, you'll be a lot quicker at it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say that's done. Okay, it's all gone. After you're done painting over, we're going to go back to Z plugin projection master and click on this. And then now it's going to tell you to pick up. So we're going to click pick up now. And what that did is that it took that painted file that you did and placed it back on top of what you had existing, right? You'll notice that a little bit of the lettering is still there, but you can't really tell what that is, right? So if you wanted to just like blur it out, this is also fine. But if you want to completely take it out, then you would go back in and add more paint over, okay?
Okay.
And then the rest of the steps is exactly the same, where we want to load our new texture in. So we're going to go new texture from Polypaint. It's going to bring it into here, and then we're going to try to find it in here. So VL002B, right? VL002B here, and then we're going to hit export. Okay. So that's how you actually paint over the texture. Very simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I'll quickly go over what I sent you about uploading the new texture. Very easy as well. I'll do it because I have the texture file anyway, but I'll send you the other texture file as well, so you can upload it to the team share and the other model viewer. Okay, so let's see this one here. Is it this object? Let's check it out. So in the model, go to edit 3D settings. I'll wait a bit until this is working. Load it through. Okay. Wait, is this the object you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it looks different. It doesn't have this piece in, right? It doesn't have this piece. Yeah. Okay, I don't see that piece in here right now. But you just haven't uploaded it, right? I'm gonna assume so. I don't know if I'm lagging or not. Okay, so let's say your texture is not appearing. If I click on the object, right, it'll highlight in yellow, and I'm in this materials tab. Under base color, I'm gonna flip it over to texture, and there's gonna be a button for import texture. I'm gonna click on this, and it's gonna open up here, and then you're just gonna find the texture file. I'm not gonna upload it because this is the wrong texture file for the wrong part. But if I could just open it, and we'll use this. And now you'll see now it has texture information, right? But it's black because I used the wrong texture. This texture, it does not belong to that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you understand that?
So we need to do it for each and every object individually, right?
Yes, if it's not showing up on Sketchfab after you upload the FBX, then yeah, you should click on each part. So you see each part is highlighted yellow, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to go to the materials tab and then import the texture for each. Yeah. And after you're done, you just save settings and that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So that's about it. Do you have any other questions or?
No, I don't have. Probably like when I do this thing, I might have. So I will contact you if I get into any trouble.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm gonna pause the recording.